Tomorrow is Ta'anit Esther. So there's a discussion in Halacha as to how to view Ta'anit Esther. In the Novi in Chagai, so the Novi then, when the Jews came back to the Bayis Sheni, so the Novi is speaking about after Purim. Purim happened in the 52 years after the Churban Bayis Rishon. And the Novi Chagai is speaking about 70 years after the Bayis Rishon, the beginning of the Bayis Sheni, when Zerubbabel and Ezra and Nehemiah returned to Eretz Yisrael together with 40,000 Jews, 42,000 Jews, to begin the Jewish Yishuv again. So he is already after Purim, right? And because of that, therefore, we have an issue that's raised, because the Novi Chagai mentions, he asked the question, shall we observe the biblical fast days? Tzom Asiri, Asor B'Teves, Tzom Chamishi is Tisha B'Av, Tzom Harvi, which is Shivasar B'Tammuz, the Tzom of Gedalia. Those are the ones that he mentioned. And he asked the question, in the time of the Bayis Sheni, we are now going to rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. Is there any reason that we should continue to commemorate and fast? Ha'otzum, shall I fast on these days? And the Novi receives, the message is, so to speak, decided in heaven. He hears the Dvar Hashem that they should not fast. That these 4 fast days, these 4 biblical fast days, all of which marked the destruction of the first temple, that's their relationship to it. So we have Shivosar B'Tammuz because of the second temple, but in the first temple it was earlier in Tammuz. But at both times it was in Tammuz. So the heavens said that they don't have to fast. Naturally, after the Churban Bayis Sheni, these biblical fast days were reinstated. And they were changed, the dates were changed to coincide with the second Churban and the long exile that ensued thereafter. So the question arose, why didn't he mention Ta'anit Esther? If we're talking 18 years after Purim, and if we're talking about the fact that Mordechai and Esther instituted this fast day for Klal Yisrael, so then why didn't he mention it? And not only that, it's not mentioned anywhere in the biblical sources. So it's not a biblical fast day. The only place that it's mentioned is in the Megillah. And the Megillah, it was a 3-day fast. Shoshes Yomim. 3 days and they fasted Erev Pesach, the first day of Pesach and the second day of Pesach. It had nothing to do with the days of Purim. So how could they fast on Pesach? Because that was Pekuach Nefesh. And they really thought that they were going to be destroyed. And they thought that by instituting this fast day and Klal Yisrael observing it, heaven would somehow intervene, as it did, in order to allow them to escape from the Gzeira of Haman. So this institution of Tainis Esther is only a zeicher to the fact that Jews fasted in the time of Purim. And it's not on the exact day at all. And it was instituted to be the day before Purim. Here it's 2 days before because we observe Shushan Purim, but it's the day before Purim is the fast day. So that's it's a commemoration of a commemoration, so to speak. It's once removed. It's not the exact fast day, because we don't want to fast. Erev Pesach is Tainis Bechorim anyway, and we don't want to fast on Pesach. There's a whole discussion in the Gemara. The only fast days that are allowed on Shabbos and Yom Tov are Tainis Chalom. The person has a nightmare or has a dream that so disturbs him that he cannot function, so then he can fast as an antidote to it, but then he has to fast another day because he fasted on Shabbos and because he fasted on Yom Tov. But this institution of the day before Purim, so when did this happen? So that's a question that's discussed by the Rishonim. There are different opinions. It's obvious that in the time of the Gaonim already the fast day existed. Why? Because we have slichot on Tainis Esther, and some of the slichot, not our nusach, most of our nusach are slichot of the Ashkenazim, most of which were written much later in the Middle Ages, in France, Germany, Austria, then Eastern Europe. But the Sfardim have earlier slichot, meaning in terms of when they were written. So there are slichot from the time of the Gaonim in Bovel. So that already was in the time of the Gemara, right after the Gemara. So that already is closer to the actual Purim date. And these slichot existed, so it's a proof of the fact that Tainis Esther existed during that time as well. There's a very interesting view that some of the Meforshim bring, and they say when it says in the Megillah, "V'yemei Purim o'ele lo yavru mitoch hayudim lo yosifu mizaram ad olam," the Yemei Purim refer not only to Yudalid and Tedvav, but it refers to Tainis Esther as well, which is also included. And that therefore that was the reason why Tainis Esther is not mentioned when Chagai wanted to know whether or not they should fast for the other biblical fast days, because it was obvious that they would always fast. Even when Mashiach comes, they'll fast Tainis Esther. Because it says, "V'yimei Purim o'ele lo yavru mitoch hayudim." And that's what Chazal mean when they say, "Lo osid lovo," and when the future, whenever that will be, "Kol hayomim tovim b'teilim," Yom Tov will become bottle. It'll be Yom Tov every day. However, we'll understand that. But Purim is never bottle. Purim will always remain as a Yom Tov, because Purim is the testimony to the eternity of the Jewish people. That somehow, Shebechol dor v'dor omdim aleinu l'chaloseinu v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu miyodam. And therefore, that remains forever. So if that remains forever, so Tainis Esther also remains forever. Now, in Halacha, Tainis Esther, we are the least machmir on Tainis Esther. people that find it hard to fast, etc. It's not like Tisha B'Av or the other biblical fast days where everyone has to make a strong effort. And the women have to fast, everyone, even people who don't fast well. But on Tainis Esther, we're makel. Tainis Esther in Halacha is, if you ask the rabbi on Tainis Esther, so then, it's not so, it's not, the leniency is present. There's room to be makel. Yet, on the other hand, we just said that what? That Tainis Esther is more than the other Tanaisim, in the fact that it will always exist. So that's the whole discussion regarding Tainis Esther. And if you'll pay attention, as I'm sure you will, tomorrow in the Slichot, there are references to both different streams. The one is that Tainis Esther is certainly not Tisha B'Av. And then there's a reference to the fact that Tainis Esther will somehow always be with us because of the fact that it is tied up with Purim, and Yemei Purim Oile Lo Yavru Mitoch HaYehudim. So it's up to you how you fast. I hope everyone fasts easily. It's much easier here because it's not right into Purim. In the exile, it was always difficult because of the fact that it went right into Purim and into the Megillah, so the fast lasted a few hours longer, and people were more upset when the children made noise because they wanted to get home already and eat, etc., etc. Here, that we have Shushan Purim, none of those problems exist. It's one of the benefits of living in Yerushalayim. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash, Omer Rotza Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Es Yisrael, L'Fichach Hirba Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar, Aranoi Chavei Tzuman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.